Well, hello, Kemlin Luther Kilgore, contacting you from outer space. No, from Wichita, Kansas. I've just moved here, and so I'm still talking about my marriage, my relationship in Nicaragua, and what that situation means to me, and what it might possibly mean to other other men that feel themselves in a situation where they might benefit from that. And I want to, my channel is not super exciting right now. Sorry about that. I'll figure it out as resources become available. I've got plant lights shining on me. That's why you see colors. Hopefully it's flattering and not bad. Anyway, this won't be a super long video, but first of all, I've been trying to explain people who are in America or the United States what the Nicaragua culture is. It's quite different, even though it's becoming more similar every day. It's still quite different. And so the women down there, we're just talking about the women. That's what, that's why I went down there basically. And so the women, they don't have a lot of opportunity like the women do in the United States. That's been my experience down there. And so the women down there have all these kids, sometimes with different men. And so they're desperate to come up with help. And it's like, I don't know, maybe the US was like that long ago. I'm not sure. I wasn't here that long ago. But to understand what I did and why it was even possible, you have to understand the women there are generally held down, held back. There's no real opportunity for hardly anybody there. And there's no real big income to be made. And a gringo going down there cannot even, they don't have permission to work anywhere. You have to be online, making your money from somewhere else, in most cases. So coming down there, why, my statement is, why was my young, attractive wife willing to marry me at this age? Okay. Well, because I had more money than her. That's probably, and so she saw the value in getting together with somebody who possibly could come up with enough wherewithal to feed her and her daughters, okay, her young daughters. And so maybe that doesn't sit well with a lot of American people, but look, it is what it is. I did what I did. I'm not going to just, dump her right now because if the going gets tough, right? And believe me, this has been one of the hardest things I've ever tried to do. Been married for 5 years to a young woman in Nicaragua, and trying to get her here to Wichita, Kansas. Now that I live here, and it's possible. We'll see how that goes. But the bottom line is, she married me because she thought I could do her some good, which I have for 5 years. And so and this is also a Latin thing. It's not just, it's more than what I've just said that it is. It's also the Latin culture left over from before, or it's a kind of complex philosophy, and so, or psychology. So if my wife says to me, I have an urgent need for such and such amount of money, and she expects me to just step forward and send her that money right away. And if I can't do that, then she's going to be upset, and she's going to be depressed and disappointed, and she's going to question whether it's worth it, her being with a super old guy when she's young and hot and attractive, however you want to say it. And so it puts a lot of pressure on me, is what I'm trying to say. So my advice to anybody who wants to know, any man, if you're going to attempt this, you better know how much money you have. That money better be a good amount of money. I won't give any numbers right now, but it's got to be pretty hefty. That's counterintuitive. You're going to think, well, Nicaragua, that's a poor country. So what? That doesn't mean it's cheap. Do not fall for the exaggeration from other videos out there. And I'm not against them. I love some other people's videos, but do not believe them. Anybody that says Nicaragua is cheap, they're saying that for a reason. Okay, they want you to watch their channel, And so I'm not going to spread lies like that. It is not cheap there, and especially if you're going to marry a younger, attractive, decent woman there, you better have a good amount of money. You cannot be earning the average for the U.S., which I think is 40 to 60,000. Forget that. Okay, if you're an older man, you better have some ripe accounts. You better have maximum Social Security coming in every month, but that's not going to be enough. Okay, you're going to have other ripe accounts that you can get at, and you can get some money every month, and basically give to your wife, because she's granting you what is that, credit, or she's giving you the benefit of the doubt. You don't look so good anymore in old age. It's a fact of life, I'm sorry to say. And so she's feeling like, okay, I'm going to share my youth and my beauty with you, and I'm going to act like I love you, and I'm going to treat you good, but your part of the bargain has to be the money, and it has to be ripe accounts that are mature, and so you can get all of your Social Security, and you have to have a house. Let me repeat this. Why do you have to have a house? I'll tell you one reason. Okay, I can speak quite a bit of Spanish. I'm not fluent, but I can tell you this much. Casar means to marry. But if you'll notice, the word casa is in the word casar. And that means house. Obviously, casa means house, okay? It's not rocket science. And so what they're trying to say is when you form a union with a woman, you're gonna both live in a house together that's your house, something like that. I'm paraphrasing, and I'm saying, if you don't have any kind of house that you own anywhere, no Nicaraguan woman is really going to want to live in an apartment with you. Even the poorest people in Nicaragua generally don't rent. Okay, they might rent a house, but the only thing they really want is to have their own house, own their own house. And it's not just that country. I'm sure most people on earth wish they want to own a house. So my advice, do not try to marry a Nicaraguan woman if you do not already own a house somewhere. And you may have to buy a house for her down there. Okay, I guess that's enough information for one video. Thank you for joining me. Talk to you later.